What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the right side of the map in the red color, playing as Isis. His name is Mariano. His opponent today in the blue color. Also playing as Isis, his name is Rapl. The map is Midgard. We have an Isis mirror. Oh, an Isis mirror. How exciting. This is actually a really difficult matchup to talk about because I don't really know what the best way to play, what the best strategy is in the mirror because of the monument protection. Monument protection really changes how this matchup or Egyptian matchup would work. Normally I would say in the Egyptian mirror, rushing Mythic Age through like Thoth and trying to get a gold staff here with Isis against Ra or against Set is probably one of the better ideas that you can go for with Ancestors Eclipse and everything else. So you basically one town center fast Mythic, full 118 pop army, go for a gold staff. Depending on how the gold mines all spawn. Obviously, if you get a town center like this and a back gold mine like this, it becomes a little bit harder, but Meteor plus some Siege plus Ancestors Eclipse should be able to push through this in all honesty and get a gold staff after all is said and done. If your opponent goes for a fast second town center, for example. But with the monument protection, you can't utilize that Meteor. So you kind of have to go through Son of Osiris, which makes your fast Mythic not so good. So maybe fast second town centers in some degree are not going to be a bad idea in this map. So we'll have to wait and see what these players are going to go for here as the Rapl Isis is matching squarely up against the El Curioso Isis. Now, Mariano, he goes for a little bit of something different here compared to what Rapl's gone for. Rapl's gone only 4 villagers on food, which I do believe is correct. And Mariano has gone for 5 villagers on food as a more safety option. And what does this mean? Effectively, all that it means is that Rapl gets his fishing ships out first. He is a considerable amount in front on villager count here. On fish count. But Rapl, he needs to be a little bit more on top of dumping his fishing ships in order to continue his villager production to be equal to Mariano's. As you can see, the villagers are coming out ever slow, slightly earlier for Mariano than for Rapl. And that is, simply put, the mistake here that Rapl has made, and why Rapl's build is actually technically better, is he just didn't force drop those fishing ships in order to help keep the villagers popping out in time. Now we'll see how things are going to go as the villagers now moving over to this corner of the map to start dropping docks down. I do think that second dock should have already been up. In fact, it is already up. I think that a third dock should be coming up after the temple. So you build the temple first, and then you get the extra docks down. That just seems to me to be the right way to play here, as we are seeing a couple more villagers onto the wood over here. Mariano will start catching up on those fishing ships here because, well, it looks like Rapl is also getting more villagers over here. If we take a look at the map here a little bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fishing spots per player. It seems 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you do have to kind of go scouting around. Now, the best way to scout these, you send your fishing ship forward. Always be checking to see what spots you should grab as Rapl here gets his temple up, and he might be finishing at 12 fish, which is definitely not the best idea here. So we'll see. The other thing is that normally in this matchup, normally in a land map, in the Isis mirror, the actual best strategy, the in-slot best mirror strategy in the Isis mirror is actually to rush priests. Which doesn't work as well on the water maps because of the boosted food you get from the fish. So you can actually go for elephants, which hard counter mass priest. So you can't just go for rushing like funeral rites and massing priest, but you also still need the priest to deal with your opponent's Ancestors Eclipse. So we'll see how it all ends up going. As Rapl here, 400 food. Mariano at 400 food. Both players are going to be advancing at basically exactly the same time. Looks like Mariano's temple a little bit later. Mariano's going to be squeezing out one extra villager than Rapl. And we'll see if Mariano's also going to throw this dock up over here. He does manage to do so. 1, 2, 3 docks with a 4th dock. Rapl, on the other hand, 1, 2, 3 docks himself. He is searching around. He is sending that fishing ship forward here. This villager over here, funnily enough, building a mining camp. As the fishing ship here should... If he keeps checking this one out, he should find that extra 3 spots, but... We'll see if he actually wants that, whereas Mariano's on 18 fish. Definitely the right amount here. Both players a little bit late on their advance time. I think 5:15 here is a perfectly achievable advance time on nearly every single mid-guard, especially if you've got the cows. Should be completely fine. But both players a little bit late here to advance. And why is this a problem? Why is it important to get 5:15? Well, effectively, the earlier you hit the classical age, the faster you get access to per scene, the faster you get access to shaft mine. Those are the 2 most important upgrades. You want to grab those immediately when you hit the classical age in this mirror wall. We'll see if both players are going to be going for it or not. We do see, I think Rapl is looking for cabinets first, which I think is a mistake. We'll see if Mariano is going to be doing exactly the same thing. And he is. So both players, I think, are making a slight mistake here, not getting that shaft mine out straight away. Why? Well, you don't want to win the water. That is, honestly, that's the crux of the matter. Winning the water means you've put too many resources in onto the water, effectively. If you put too many resources into the water, you get gold starved and you lose on the land, is my experience on this map. So you don't need as many resources to defend as you do to be aggressive. So you can squeeze that shaft mine out. That'll help you get to the heroic age a little bit faster. As now we do see Rapl coming forward. He will spot the Mariano ships. Rappel's going to be taking a couple of shots here. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot. And he's going to be pulling back. It's a big amount of HP lost. And another reason why attacking is much, much harder. You've got to be very, very on top of that. As we are seeing now, it looks that Mariano is ready to start these fights at the top. Good micro from Mariano here as Rapl pulling back. He does have a smaller amount of ship numbers here as the prosperity comes through. And same too for Rapl here. Both players should be sending their Pharaoh over onto the gold mine to get the gold to advance. Both players should be advancing at roughly the same time. Armory coming up for both players here. No problems where that's concerned. Mariano pulls back. A couple of cabinets over here as this dock will finish up. And everything seems relatively equal at this point in the game. As Nephthys comes through for Mariano, I imagine Nephthys will also come through for Rapl. So slight 7 second advantage to the heroic age for Mariano after all is said and done. There does seem to be roughly the same amount of boats here. 9 boats for Rapl, it seems. 10 boats for Mariano. So Rapl has to pull back. But the question is going to be, what now? Some priests coming out here for Rapl, some priests coming out for Mariano. Going to be meeting in the center of the map, it seems. A couple of Sphinx here as well. Wouldn't mind seeing a monument getting thrown down here for both players to control that center. Both the town centers are basically in the center of the map as well, as the Sphinx does get greeted here by those priests, getting some good damage done, but Sphinx will be able to pull back, should be able to get healed back up by Mariano as well. Lots of food and gold in the bank here for Rapl. Big question is, do you even bother putting the Migdol up straight away here from the perspective of the Isis, or do you rush Mythic Age to get yourself the Son of Osiris out to try and defend here? As we do see a monument to the soldiers coming up in the middle of the map to try and block some sort of Ancestors Eclipse onto this position. I like the play. We see the Migdol coming down for Mariano. So both players opting for that Migdol stronghold straight away. As we do see these units coming through. Do we see any upgrades onto the water here? No arrow ship cladding. It's one of the most important water upgrades you can grab. It gives you might not think that it's that crazy, but you take a look at the upgrade. It gives 10% pierce and 20% hit points. Not only the 4, not to mention the 4 range, which is a big deal, but the extra 20% hit points on a unit that's got 290 hit points ends up being huge in terms of basically everything. And not only that, 6 times 3 plus 10% is a big deal as well. As Rapl gets caught out of position here, loses some priests, will have to retreat back. That's a big misplay there from Rapl as Mariano is playing a nice job of defending here. As the cladding now coming through for Rapl. One weakness to the cladding, arrow ship cladding, is that it takes a while to research. It is a slow technology. I think it's like 40 seconds or something. Yeah, 40 seconds, whereas most line upgrades are only 20 seconds. So you do have to keep that in mind when you do click that one, as we do see the Ancestors Eclipse has been clicked up here. Elephants coming out. One thing you can definitely consider here if you're playing from the perspective of the Egyptian player is to put everyone onto gold when you click Prosperity. And then you can kind of give up on the water a little bit, make Priest and Elephant in the Heroic Age, and you might be able to win the land there fairly easily. It's an idea. I don't know how confident I am with that idea, as you do see that Rapl microing his Pharaoh very nicely here on this one, as the villagers taking out those minions fairly easily. It looks like Mariano, while his Ancestors of the Eclipse did go off first, it's not really doing that much damage. In fact, he's only got a 2 villager lead at this position. Meanwhile, over on this position, we do see those heavy cabinets have come through. And while the ship numbers slightly favoring Mariano, the boosted 10% is more than enough to help win that fight. And Mariano has to pull back for the time being as the elephants going at each other. We see some barracks coming up here as well. Rapl might need to click Ancestors of the Eclipse to give himself a little bit of relief on this position. Or maybe he might not even need to as well. But at this point, Mariano does have the advantage in this game population-wise, and we'll see how things are going to go. As the Priest Pharaoh coming through, will snipe down that Scorpion Man here. What are we seeing coming out of this? Some Spearmen here for Rapl. A bit of a desperate maneuver, if you ask me, as Ancestors Eclipse does get clicked. Mariano's going to be retreating back ever so slightly here, and this will give Rapl some breathing room. Mariano's got plenty of food in the bank, though, at this point. He hasn't lost many units either, and the minions here pushing in to take down those siege towers. We'll see if this is going to work. Those priests here do not have funeral rites, but there's a lot of them here. As long as Mariano micros this, which it doesn't look like now he does, micros this, he will be able to clean those minions up really quickly. And I don't know if Rappel's going to be able to break through this army easily at all. He does manage to take down the siege towers. He's still pushing through, still getting some good damage done here. He's winning the fights over here because he does have the heavy cabinets. I'm not sure where the Leviathan is gone here for both players, as it seems like that's being dealt with possibly here, as the Rapl army has to pull back. But Mariano is in a very good position here thus far. As Mariano dodging all of the cavalry as best as they, the cavalry dodging all those chariot archers as best as they possibly can. But cavalry in this matchup, generally speaking, I don't particularly like them. If I see cavalry coming out of my opponent, I actually start putting towers down. That way they can't push into my chariot archers. A little bit of gold in the bank here. But the problem here for Rapl is he's starting to fall behind on villager count. He's got himself the shaft mine. But actually Mariano's got himself quarry, which does end up giving him a bigger amount of gold income, but it's really not that big of an advantage, in all honesty. It's like 5% or 4% or something in terms of a boost to the gold income. It's not a technology I would ever rush, but if you got the resources for it, why not? If you can't spend them, why not get the upgrade? As the Pharaoh is going to be able to take out this mining camp. Pharaoh pushing forward to try and get this town center up. I mean, this is a very bold play here from Rapl, as his Migdol stronghold's almost taken out. Rapl is in a lot of pain here. He doesn't have much economic income at all here. He's spending all of his resources. 60 population. Mariano, 111 population here as he's taking down the Migdol stronghold beautifully here. Town center gets denied. Villagers come over here to try and shank this down, but it's too little, too late. Pharaoh falling on the back there, as well as the villagers getting cleaned up here, as the chariot arch is doing some beautiful job taking out the villagers as best they possibly can. Migdol stronghold now coming down for Rapl to boot here. But I don't think it's going to be able to get that one back up anytime soon, especially with just the 5 villages. It might be an idea to move over onto the back gold mine here and be fine where that's concerned. But Rapl's got 28 villages, ladies and gentlemen. Rapl's got 28 villages. Mariano's going up to 4 town centers in the middle of the map. He's got the 2 town centers at the back. He's getting a third one here with the Pharaoh empowerment and the 4th one with those villages here as well, as Mariano is taking this game, just putting his foot on the gas and never letting up here, it seems. Looking to get himself bowsaw and carpenters after all is said and done as well here in this game. As we do see the siege works coming up on the back. Got the labor, not the laborers, the spearmen on this position. Spearmen, they're not the best in this matchup at all, as Rapl does decide that he needs to tap out in this game. Where did this go wrong for Rapl is the big question. And I think the answer was when he walked in with his army here. He walked into this position with his army, expecting to get some damage done, was not paying attention to his army. It walks through. He loses his priest, which means he doesn't have any answer, any easy counter to the Ancestors Eclipse, which came down. And honestly, if his priest and Pharaoh were there, instead of dead, well, he did have his Pharaoh, but if his priest was here instead of dead, those 4 priests and the Pharaoh, he'd easily been able to clean up that Ancestors Eclipse, and he probably would have been in a completely fine position after all is said and done. But he just lost so much population, he could never get it back up, is the problem here. If you take a look at the post game, I'm interested to see exactly what the differences are here. You can see it's incredibly equal in terms of income up until this point where the Ancestors Eclipse came down. And that's where things changed. And honestly, something to learn from this game here is don't send your priest forward here. Leave them back, because you know your opponent wants to click Ancestors Eclipse and you want to be able to catch them by surprise. One trick you can do is put the priests into your Migdol stronghold. Your opponent won't know they're there, and you can pop them out once Ancestors Eclipse gets dropped on you, and you're going to be completely fine to defend on those positions. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. Congrats to Mariano for winning the series, and I'll see you guys in the next game.